So how's it going?
What's up?
Andrew, what are your thoughts? We put some miles on the starter.
Starter's had some miles, but there's been some things that we unforeseen
issues.
So we were right all along, but so the crank trigger has 12 magnets in it, except one of the magnets.
Well, let's go back to square one. Let's go back to step one. All right, guys. For those of you guys that don't know what's going on or didn't see the video of us trying to crank this, it was like fireworks galore. Backfire, Matt caught his arm on fire, intake popping, exhaust popping, everything. It's pretty common on first startups because you got to configure a lot of things, and it's a lot easier. I'd say that myself and Matt are proficient in first startups, but we had some things wrong on here that were unforeseen, that we kind of had to just find out with time. So the first thing, the firing order in the ECU was set up for a small block Ford. As you guys can tell, this is not a small block Ford. It runs off of Chevrolet firing order, so we had to fix that, so it wasn't going to run there. The cam sensor, cam sync deal, everyone's like, oh, it's the distributor, it's the distributor. This thing doesn't have a distributor, it's got a cam sync, which kind of is like a distributor, but it's electronic and has a magnet in there, and
yeah, it's gonna tell you where TDC is on the compression stroke, because without it, your magnet, it would sit there. But with the missing tooth, you could run it in like a non-sequential batch fire, but we knew it was wrong. We were just trying to fix it.
So we had it set up in the ECU. This is a RCD 12 magnet wheel, but the fine print says there's one dummy magnet.
Yeah, so it looks like a magnet. So instead of them, so I looked at it, we looked on the back, counted it, 12 magnets. So I was like, all right, it's a 12 magnet wheel. I run a 12 magnet wheel on MK Ultra, so I've used them before. Everything's good.
A lot of guys use the 12 magnet, knock one out.
Yeah, knock one out. You can do a 12 minus 1. Well, looked at this and I was like, okay, it's a 12 magnet. Well, one of them looks just like the other magnets, but it is non-magnetic, so it is technically a 12 minus 1. Why they wouldn't just not use a magnet, I don't know, but it's got a dummy magnet in it. So reconfigured it to 12 minus 1, and when the injector setup for when it's configured for 2 sets, it won't crank, but we just configured it to 1 to kind of eliminate that, and it seemed like it was going to hit. So we got everything tightened back down, and
good oil pressure just cranking. It's showing fuel pressure cranking as well.
Yeah, fuel pressure is a little low whenever it's cranking. It's like 50, so once it's running, it might be good, or it might need to be brought up some. So I got everything prepared here to adjust the fuel pressure. So I guess we're going to go through and try to get this thing fired up, make sure there ain't no leaks.
Charge pipe off as always, just cranking it up because okay, you don't need it right now. We're not trying to make boost. It needs a little bit of throttle, but I mean that was 1600.
Yeah, I need to tighten all that up.
It was at like we're up to 80 now base.
Yeah, I need to make sure that is actually.
I gotta rev it, but
well, I want to make sure that it's actually set up as a 200 psi sensor.
Oh, it could be a. Wait. Yeah. It'd have to be.
It is.
You want to lean it out just a hair?
Yeah. Let me see what the hardware is.
It's all this water from the turbo.
What?
Nothing.
Say something?
Nope. You need me to put a fuel map in it? I'm the fuel mapper.
Alright. Ready? You watching for leaks? Alright.
Dang, that burned. Woo! It's like a LS Nasty ritual. First startup, just leave the damn scavenge pump off.
So one thing that I noticed that I need to try to address is the when you shut it off, like you just turn the thing off, whatever like parameters it's seeing from the ECU, it just hangs them there. So it's like,
What do you mean?
when it's running, like if it's running at 1500 RPM, you hit the key to turn it off, all the shit just stays at 1500. The last thing it read,
What does? What
the ECU master,
is reading 1500 what?
RPM.
On the Holley screen? Like, wait, so the PEMU reads RPM?
Yeah.
Oh,
Through
shit.
CAN bus, everything.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
why I'm
no.
just like, what are you talking about? It's a switch panel.
No, I got it all CAN bus. So like I got the scavenge pump set up now, so if it sees more than 500 RPM, it tells it to turn on.
Oh, so when you shut it off, it just freezes at 1500 RPM
thinks
for
it's
the
still
scavenge
running.
pump. Yeah.
So I can do one of the outputs from the Holley, so the Holley turns the scavenge pump on above 500 RPM, and then it shuts off, and then the ECU master will control it like whenever.
Yeah, dude, that exhaust gets hot. I mean, you gotta think, we probably idled it, what, there for 2 minutes?
Yeah.
That fuel is, that fuel line is ice cold.
Yeah. I think we're good on our scavenge because we didn't have no leaks or anything.
All right, y'all, it's been a long time coming. We got old Slick Rick fired up. If you heard us talking, we were doing some technical stuff to it. One thing is, when he fired it up, first time it had like 60 pounds of oil pressure. Oil gets warm, oil pressure drops. It had about 30 pounds of oil pressure. All these badass. This is a, I mean, it's not really, it's kind of like, it's a system one, but it's like an external.
It's a wet sump.
Yeah, but it's not like an external pump that we, like a true external pump, because this one's still driven by the block. Correct?
Well, I mean, it's external pump, and really the external pump means just that it scavenges outside of the pan. So your internal pump would be internal, external, because you got to think it's driven by the cam or it's driven by a belt, so it's still driven by the engine.
So a lot of these pumps, like our Aviate pumps, any like dry sump or external wet sump pumps, they have a pressure. What is it? Just it's kind of like a regulator.
It's relief. It's just a spring with a ball in there, and then you screw it in there, and it gets more. Now, if you got oil pressure problems, you can't just keep cranking on it, hoping that's going to fix your problems.
That's what I did with the Red Lobster, but we kept it running, went to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I guess you could, depending on what it is, but you'll set those. Some of your good internal pumps, like the Titan pumps, they have a pressure relief. So I see people, they like drill and tap a plug in the bottom of their pan, and they can get to the pressure relief and adjust it. So a little bit more difficult, but
any of the system one stuff's badass. I like to run the Aviate for the external LS and small walk forward stuff.
Yeah, there's a ton. It's a Hemi style pump, so there's a ton of people that make one for a Hemi, because a Hemi had that pump on the outside from the factory. So you know, there's a ton of people that make badass pumps for the Hemis. System one's good. The Aviate stuff, they make some Hemi pumps. They make a lot of the external stuff. I really like the way the Aviate stuff's designed. It's reasonably priced. It's reliable. Haven't had any issues. They have a ton of different mounting blades and configurations. So,
well, we got this set. So it went from, you know, when it was hot, it was at 35 pounds of oil pressure just for a second. We fired up, shut it off. Matt, how many turns you put in there? Like 2 or 3?
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of cranked on it.
And fired it back up. Boom, we had really good oil pressure.
Yeah,
so now we're 100-pound base,
yeah.
Which is good. And, you know, a motor like this, obviously, it's set up for large bearing clearances, high oil pressure, so you're good to go. We set the fuel pressure as well. Got that set, and then we revved it up a couple times. Everything seems to be good. So startup wise, engine configuration wise, we got it all dialed in. Sometimes it could be a little bumpy road getting fired up first time. You got to go through and you know, probably trying to get it cranked at 3 in the morning. We as in myself and Matt, weren't firing on all cylinders because we just kept trying to crank it and change one thing and crank it.
The trigger wheel really got us, because we saw 12 magnets and we were like, oh, it's a 12 magnet, and then
It's actually a dummy.
yeah, so just redo them and just don't even put the dummy in there. Just
Yeah. So we got it fired up now. Everything's good. Turbo kit sounds good. Like always, whenever I fire up a car for the first time, brand new build, we always leave the scavenge pump off. That's like a must.
Yeah,
it really lubricates all the pipes.
It does. It lubricates all the pipes for us to shop. It's kind of like, it's like christening a boat.
Yeah. I did it in the Black Sheep, except when I did it in the Black Sheep with the bullhorns on there, the entire engine and everything was polished, and I fired it up and put oil everywhere. So
yeah, this one wasn't bad at all.
No,
this one.
Yeah. That's why it's also important. You fire it up with the charge pipe off. I looked down, saw oil coming out the turbo. I said, oh shit, scavenge pump isn't on. It's so loud, it vibrates so much, it's making so much racket, you can't really tell, you can't hear it. I put my hand on it, you can't really feel it. So we got that. The oil scavenge system here, which is pretty nifty. It actually scavenges through this pipe into this fitting, and then the scavenge pump here, which is very badass, highly recommend, returns it to the pan. Works absolutely awesome. So we really have no issues there. So now we're down to like the punch list stuff. We're modifying the wishbone where it mounts on the chassis. We're modifying the anti-roll bar tabs. We're finishing our front end stuff up, and then it's like final assembly, good to go. So we are on the home stretch here, very excited about it. We got a big storm coming up, so it looks like FL2K is potentially out of the picture because work comes first, which I'm sure all you guys can understand. We love to race, but when it's time to work, it's time to work, and we can't race without working, so we got to work. I got a bunch of you guys that are watching videos reach out to me about the storm work. We're still adding to the list. If you guys are interested, you can hit me up at johndocrecovery@gmail.com. You need to have a 3/4 ton truck, pintle hitch. I got some transfer tanks, or you can hit up Matt at
stormworknc@gmail.com.
and we can get you on our list, and we'll get you to work and get you, pumping up the race car fund. So that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys all supporting the Slick Rick build and watching it. I know we've been like we've really been on like a 2 or 3 week thrash of just working on this thing.
Yep.
And we're on the home stretch. The end is in sight, and we're going to get it knocked out and be testing here soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, go down and click that subscribe button. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's upload.